recording.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very special episode of Uncanny Treks as we continue our slog, our march, our drive through both HBO's The Penguin and Amazon Prime's Too Old to Die Young. Although I really should say Nicholas Winding Refn's Too Old to Die Young. Why am I giving credit to a major corporation? But anyway, I'm Bob in Cascadia. That's Matt in the Southland. Matt, how you doing this evening?
Doing great. You mean Jeff Bezos did not create this show, Bob?
No, Jeff Bezos did not create the show, and he certainly did not support the show, although it's one of those, like with Refn, like, I guess you could do a season 2, like with Copenhagen Cowboy, but I think you'll also feel like it's pretty complete when you get to the end.
Yeah, you could also do something like Joker 2, Bob.
Yeah. So, Matt, I actually don't think Joker 2 is that bad. In fact, I think it's probably, I just see the things about it that trigger people, but they don't trigger me. And honestly, in other ways, it's much more interesting than the first one.
Yeah, Bob disagrees with like everyone in the world with this, but it's okay. It's that meme with like the one dude against like everybody.
Dude, I went with two friends, both of whom are female, one of whom had seen Joker 1 and also liked Joker 2 better, and the other of whom had not seen Joker 1 and liked Joker 2 because she likes musicals, and she's like, "Do I need to watch Joker 1?" I was like, "Nah, they summarize it pretty thoroughly. Nope, you don't need to watch Joker 1."
So 3 people in Seattle agree the Joker 2 is okay. Or better than the original.
I think we would all say that it's significantly better than the usual superhero movie.
All right, Bob. Well, I'm just going to tell you, most people are hating the film, and I'm going to wait because it's probably going to drop on Max in like a week, so I'm just going to wait for it. Or is it one of those I have to see at the theater to get the musical feel?
I think pretty much all films are better seen in the theater, Matt. It really makes me sad that you won't commit to the theatrical experience.
I'm sorry, Bob, but the local cinema here is not the most exciting place to be, just so you know.
Look, Matt, sometimes the anxiety over whether or not you're going to get stabbed really adds to the experience.
The experience. I don't think it's that bad. I think it's just like we've reached the point now where our TVs are getting kind of bigger, our sound systems are getting better.
Yeah, but your TV is not as big as a movie. Your sound system is not as good as a theater sound system.
Yeah, but my brain can't tell the difference at this age. See, Bob. See,
well, Matt,
you're just blessed, Bob. That's what it is. You're blessed.
Pretty soon, Matt, your brain's not going to be able to tell the difference between your home TV screen and the nursing home TV screen.
Yeah, there you go. I'm just going to watch this thing all day. I'll be watching Fox News or something. Thanks.
We're both at that line of 40. Does that mean we have to start watching Fox now?
I think so, Bob. I think so. We're all going to start voting Republican. It's time to go that direction.
Did I tell you about the Republican yard sign I saw not in Seattle, but in the city I work?
No, what does it say?
Well, it was in, at first I didn't see that it was Republican. It was for somebody who's running for state house, and it was a woman's name, and it was very white colors.
You did text me about this because I was confused.
Yeah. And then the tagline was something like "representing our voices." And so between it being a woman and the aesthetics and the woke terminology about representation and voices, you just assume that's a Democrat. And then I saw that it was a Republican. I was like, this is so evil. This is so evil. I would so much prefer if this woman was just MAGA. You should keep the aesthetics separate. You don't need to blur the aesthetics. It's weird and wrong.
And then I think I asked, is it cute? And you said, I don't know what she looks like. And I was like, Bob, I wasn't talking about the candidate. I was talking about the sign. Was it an attractive sign? Were people looking at the sign going, man, you know what? I want to vote for that person. They got creativity with that pink.
No one else on public transportation is looking at signs as we ride by. They're all too beaten down by the brutality of work and the commute.
They're all on their phones, aren't they, Bob?
Yeah,
that's Bob's entertainment's the window.
Usually listening to an audiobook or a podcast.
Jamming to music, remembering those pink signs he sees on the floor.
I'm usually listening to Uncanny Treks, Matt. Half of those downloads, it's me.
Exactly, Bob. And Patreon. Check out the Patreon with Uncanny Treks. Get some Young Justice versus X-Men 92.
Was the sign trying to be cute? Yes.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Was the sign cute? I would probably not say so, but then I don't know. I have a high threshold for what it takes for a sign to register as cute.
I can tell you don't work with children, Bob, because everything they create is cute, and just because you have to tell them that you can't be, that's ugly as sin or that's awful.
I think interesting is a very powerful word, Matt.
Okay.
I also go with intriguing.
Intriguing, interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I wish I could say provocative, but I don't think that's the best one. So I mostly stick to interesting, good, or intriguing.
Okay.
And I try to not be lying when I say either of those three.
Well, Bob, to get back into the show, how would you describe Penguin's home, his apartment, his joint, should you say?
Yeah, yeah. I guess the question should be, is it classy or is it tacky? There definitely seem to be both classy and tacky elements coexisting. But I think usually when that's the case, you got to say the tacky prevails, right? One drop of tacky makes the whole classy thing tacky, if you follow me.
Sounds to me like this was the problem with your sign, Bob. The pink made it tacky. Could have been classy.
No. It's not. It's not that it's tacky. It's that it's Democrat aesthetics. It's
Oh,
like Democrat,
it's using
aesthetics.
it's using their attack method.
No, it's using their design
Their
sense.
design sense.
It's talking about representation. It's talking about voices. I bet if you go hear this woman give her stump speech, she talks about bodies and spaces. It's using this cursed language that woke people use, but it's doing it for the other side.
You
And I
put
think
so
that's
much
wrong.
thought into this, Bob. You put so much thought into this one sign, and this person that made the sign did not.
Other people understand what I'm saying about this.
Yes, other people, and the people on the podcast will also probably understand it, but I just want to try my best to make it seem like you're stupid and it's not working.
Is my frustration the real motor of
That's
this podcast? Right?
Yes, I was trying to get your frustration out, and it just keeps coming. It keeps.
I actually do think that they put a fair amount of thought into things like color schemes and slogans. I don't think they get like teams of scientists from Harvard, but I do think politicians usually do and I say this as somebody who's worked in local politics, I do think they put a fair amount of thought into slogans and colors and the format of signs.
So, Bob, you don't remember the candidate's name, correct, or do you?
It was an Asian American woman. I want to say it was Lynn Truong or something like
Okay.
that. That might not be quite right.
So we're gonna find out why she chose pink. I'm gonna do some research, Bob, because I think there's so many reasons she may have chosen pink on her sign. I'm gonna bring her on the podcast, Bob. Talk about the sign.
I try not to use the word gaslighting because I think it's another one of these like ridiculous empty woke signifiers that people use and I hate. But oh god, why are you gaslighting me so?
You wanna know why I'm gaslighting you, Bob? Because this show you make me watch, not the Penguin, the other one, is so slow paced that I want our podcast listeners to feel the nothingness that happens in this show.
Matt, I think you misspoke. I think you mean the greatness that happens in Too Old to Die Young.
Yes. If you're wondering why it's taken us forever to get to what we're going to talk about, Bob, it's because that's what this show does. That's what the other show does we're going to be covering.
So for the listeners, we are talking about episode 3 of both Penguin and Too Old to Die Young. Episode 3 of Penguin is Bliss. Episode 3 of Too Old to Die Young is The Hermit. Matt, what's the plot? Although you already did get us talking about the Penguin's apartment, but what's the plot?
Yeah, I just want to throw that in there at the very beginning, Bob, before the episode. And you want to get into some plot, some actual plot, something happening? Sure. Okay, hold on. We're 10 minutes into the podcast. Here we go. Like this show.
Somebody's really bitter.
We'll get to it, Bob. You guys wait till we get to Hermit. All right. Anyway, the plot.
Matt, I'm just going to point out that your carping, I don't think is as pretty as Nicholas Winding Refn's camera shots. I just
probably not. All right, Bob. In the plot of Bliss, which I'm loving Penguin and Sophia try to get in with the triads while Victor debates leaving Penguin.
Yeah, so you hyped this episode up for me, and I didn't hate it, but I
loved it. I thought it was great.
One thing I did like is that we sort of, at the beginning, we're seeing Penguin struggle to juggle that he has to manipulate Sal Maroni, who's in prison, and Sophia Falcone, who's showing up at his apartment. So he has Vic delaying while he talks to Sal, right? I like the sense it gave us of the strain of doing all this Iago-style manipulation.
Yeah, he really is like playing everybody here. And I feel like they just won't kill him. Just shoot him. Like, how many times has he almost died already in this show? And he just slithers by.
Well, I mean, that's sort of the gimmick
that's
of Batman.
Right. That's his whole shtick, but man, it's crazy.
So did they say Arkham State Hospital in The Batman?
Oh yeah, they did, just like on the film. Yeah, it was the same thing. It's a brand new name, I guess. I don't know. They just don't. Arkham Asylum doesn't sound, I guess, PC at this point.
Well, I think part of it is like, woke.
Not woke,
but yeah, part of its wokeness has made them change it. I think I might be wrong about this, but I think in the first couple of appearances, in the 70s, it was Arkham State Hospital instead of Arkham Asylum. So I think that's
Okay.
the original name.
And it just happens to be located in Gotham, I guess, and not some other part of New Jersey.
Well, I think in the 70s, there's some suggestion that Arkham State Hospital is located well outside of Gotham in Massachusetts.
Where it should be, far away from the city, on an island.
Well, but I think that the idea is it might even be a different state than Gotham. Arkham comes from the Lovecraft universe of references,
Right.
right?
Oh, yeah.
And so I think you would usually think of it as being in Massachusetts. But the other thing I did want to point out was in Joker 2, it's Arkham State Hospital as well. But there I took that to be more, since it's set in the 70s, took that to be more of a callback to the 70s comics. I'd forgotten that in The Batman, it's also Arkham State Hospital.
Yeah, that's what they're going for now. It'll probably be that in the Matt Reeves thing, too. It'll probably be that from now on. I'm thinking it may remain in the comics, I would think, but
I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting because on the one hand, Arkham Asylum has that powerful alliteration. I don't know. Maybe we will be back to it, even though wokeness doesn't want us to.
well, when you hear the words Arkham Asylum, you see that scary castle look thing with a lightning bolt coming down and them going up on the hill from the animated series and the gate to Arkham Asylum. And a lot of people also see the video game version, which I'm okay, whatever, where he's driving through and
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Because can you make a Batman Arkham State Hospital game? Is it?
Batman Arkham State Hospital. They made it Arkham City.
Yeah. And then there was the comic that I remember not being that great, but it was called Arkham Manor, and the pitch was
Oh, yeah,
that
it was-
Arkham had been destroyed, and so they turned Wayne Manor into Arkham.
Yes, that was stupid. Yes, I remember that.
Well, Matt, so we meet a new character here, and the Penguin. It's a guy named Dr. Trey Bloom, and he's older hippie, and he's cultivating these drug shrooms that are called Bliss. And so I guess I should say first, Bliss is apparently from the comics. Apparently it appeared in a few Teen Titans comics right before the New 52, and then it appeared in a few right after the New 52. And that's in contrast to Drops, which as far as I can tell, originated just in the Batman, the movie in 2021 or whenever. And then the guy, Dr. Trey Bloom, I wonder if he's supposed to be a version of Mr. Bloom, if you remember him from the Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo run.
Probably. He wasn't my favorite character.
Yeah, I guess since we're bringing up Snyder, we should also note Absolute Batman #1 came out this week. People are over the moon about it. And on one hand, I get it. I really liked it. I was highly recommending it to my boy Noah the other day. But on the other hand, it's like, well, guys, it's Scott Snyder. Let's see how the first arc ends before we get too crazy.
I love that. This first issue has been fantastic. I enjoyed it. I thought it's a fresh take on the character. I like what they're doing with Alfred, especially, and then just the way the Batman functions with these weird wing things that he walks with. That is really cool. That's something I haven't seen before, which I never really thought about, but
Some choices in it that I really like. There's some Scott Snyder ticks that I really don't like, but the Nick Dragata art, whom he did East of West, which is a series I really liked about 10 years ago. Dragata's art is just killer, man.
yeah, art's beautiful.
Well, back to the Penguin, Matt. There was a scene I did really enjoy from this when the Penguin is starting to blackmail Johnny Vitti because he's sleeping with the boss's wife, and Johnny threatens him. And he's just like, "In what, Johnny? You're gonna haunt?"
Yeah. You're going to be dead, Johnny. You're going to be dead.
It is funny when he gets that kind of like Danny DeVito or Robert De Niro plea in
Right.
Colin Farrell's performance. Yeah.
Speaking of Danny DeVito real quick, before you do that, Bob, speaking of Danny DeVito real quick, isn't it weird, like if you lined up like the different versions of the Penguin, just how unique each one would be, like the actual live action versions, like all the way back to Meredith Burgess, line him up next to Danny DeVito, line him up next to the dude from Gotham, whatever his name was, and then Colin Farrell's character here. I mean, how crazy is that? Like, they're so different, but each one has its own unique take. It's awesome.
Yeah, and much more so than like Joker or Riddler. And there is an argument to be made that like the Penguin is there's just not that much to him as a character in general, right?
Right.
It's mostly a few visual ticks, and then you can kind of take that in multiple directions, and so people have, and that's why. I didn't love like Lady Penguin from the Cape Crusader, but I would sort of defend the Cape Crusader guys experimenting with Lady Penguin, right? Because there's really, in some sense, there's just nothing to the Penguin, right?
Right. And that's why in the Arkham games, they had to give him an Australian accent just to make him, like, unique. He was an arms dealer. That was really all it boils down
Okay,
to.
that's too far.
Yeah.
Turning him into a woman, I could tolerate. Turning him into an Australian, that's too far.
Yeah, but he lasted all those games. I mean, so it's like the character wasn't bad. He's even in the Suicide Squad game.
I wonder if that surviving is sort of what they're going for with
Yeah.
Colin Farrell in the Batman movie and
Yeah.
in this show. So, Matt, do you like the Penguin's white suit?
I really do. I've always liked that look on the Penguin. He's had he's had look in the comics as well. It's more of when he's got his big master plans about to take place and he's at some formal event and he comes busting out in the white suit. Gave me Miami Vice vibes a little bit.
Oh, yeah, that's funny.
The formal piece in the center, like where you would see shirt and stuff, wasn't there. He had more of a solid shirt, so it gave you that 80s look, Scarface, Miami Vice type stuff.
Well, and you remember Colin Farrell was in the Miami Vice movie in 2006.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
2007.
Actually, I forgot, but yeah.
That's great. That's great. My friend, who's a really great literary critic in Chicago, she has an essay on Michael Mann that I like a lot, the director of the Miami Vice movie and the guy. He directed some of the episodes of the original show, too. In that movie, she has a close reading of Colin Farrell's mullet, and it's really good. Anna's really smart. It's very funny. So, speaking of other TV shows besides Miami Vice, my boy Noah, who I was watching this with, was getting real vibes to Better Call Saul with like how Sophia and the Penguin were scheming and plotting together. And then so we were really sad when at the end of the episode, spoilers, Penguin abandoned Sophia.
Oh.
And so our Better Call Saul vibes are done.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen that show, Bob, so I wasn't disappointed at all. Yeah, but cool beans. I know I need to watch the damn show. You told me
Yeah.
many times.
You really need to watch that show. Maybe, I wonder if that's like a show, like if we did like half a season at a time every 2 weeks or so.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool.
It's a great show, man. I want to say it's better than Breaking Bad, but ultimately I can't because I think the ending depends too much on Breaking. It's too referential to Breaking Bad.
It's a definitive spinoff, yes, then. You can't like...
Yeah, you can enjoy without seeing Breaking Bad, but if one hadn't seen Breaking Bad, I would hesitate to recommend it because it would be hard to enjoy the end without knowing what goes on in Breaking Bad. Well, Matt, I did also want to praise, even though I said, I don't know, the Vic backstory in this episode, I guess it was good. I just wasn't really feeling it so much. Fine.
Vic had to make up his mind, Bob. Stick around with Oz or go with his girlfriend to California. He decided to stick around with Oz.
You gotta live that gangster lifestyle, man. I did want to compliment the show. So they seem to do a different song over the credits every time. They did a Gil Scott-Heron song I deeply love. Gil Scott-Heron, great artist. He's the spoken word guy, soul guy. You could say he's a pioneer of hip hop because he was big in the 70s. Maybe he had a famous performance on SNL in the early 80s where he did a song protesting apartheid that was very controversial at the time.
Well, the song in this episode was Me and the Devil, though, right?
Yeah. Okay. And this is from one of his last albums, and his vocal cords are, I don't mean this in a demeaning way, but they're busted, but it gives his voice this really haunting, powerful quality.
Oh, okay. Cool.
You should listen to The Bottle and listen to What's the Word Johannesburg on YouTube, Matt. That's more of his like 70s stuff. You'd like that.
All right. I'll give it a download. All right, Bob. So let's transition into Too Old to Die Young.
Matt, what happens in episode 3?
In the plot of The Hermit, Bob, Martin investigates the murder of Anance, attends Janie's mom's memorial service, and keeps doing hits for Damien.
Yeah, Matt. So were you surprised that the turn that Martin's investigation into Vigo, who's the hitman, and Diana, who's the victim social worker who's farming out hits to Vigo took?
Yeah, I mean, I was... Martin apparently just wants to get in with this Vigo guy.
Martin's newly promoted side, right?
Yeah.
I think the dilemma was Martin gonna arrest him, or since Vigo has this kind of hitman lifestyle and seems more adjusted to it, even though he messes up early in the episode. Martin is, maybe I could get some mentorship.
Some advice, to get some info. So that's really what he's trying to do here, is to learn how to be a better hitman, even though he is improving in his actual regular job. Come on now. Why does he have to be both? Why does he have to have sex with underage girls? Why does he have to be a hitman? Can't he just be...
Well, it seems like he's got to be a hitman at least, because Damien's not going to let him loose, right?
Well, the man, just let him go. Come on, give him a break.
Yeah. I bring this up in episode 3. It's inappropriate in the sense that it really only applies to episodes 9 and 10, but I might not remember to say it in episodes 9 and 10, so I'll just bring it up here. The woman who co-wrote the last 2 episodes of this show, she also wrote the Harley Quinn and the Nocturna episodes of Cape Crusader, which I thought was an interesting detail.
I want to say something about Cape Crusader, Bob. We're so about a month or 2 out from when we recorded our coverage of that show, and we went through the whole season. I hate this, Bob, but I don't remember much about that show other than just some of the changes they made.
Do you remember Nocturna?
I do, but it just seems like that show did not stick as well as it should have.
I blame that for the releasing it all at once.
You think so?
Yeah.
I mean, man, I have such vivid memories of some of the other Batman animation we've watched, but that one, I remember the Penguin, of course. I remember Harley Quinn's design, but things like that, other than that, it's just like, it just all seems like a blur. I don't think there was anything really like that innovative that came from Cape Crusader, but it was still good though. I mean, we liked it. It just wasn't like.
I disagree just in the sense of, for me personally, I can still remember a lot of details and a lot of visuals from it.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels like it stuck with me. On the one hand, I agree with you that it doesn't seem to have made much impact, even though I know it was like, at least, I don't know what its numbers are now, but at least as far as we can tell, and it's always hard to tell because Netflix and Amazon keep this stuff really opaque.
Yeah.
But it seems like it was at least doing well in terms of when it initially debuted. I don't know what kind of numbers it's doing now. I don't see a lot of conversation about it in the circles I troll on social media, and so that's probably not a good sign. But then on the other hand, it's not like I see a lot of conversation about that Superman show, and we're going into a 4th season of that.
Right. So I think maybe it's just more of an. I don't know. See, I feel like we fit into that niche though. So like, why are we not seeing more? Like maybe it's just a niche type show, but that's something we watch, or
Yeah.
Like we should. I just feel like there'd be more going on with it.
I do continue though to agree with you that, I'll also kind of agree with myself, but just if we'd gotten to cover that show week to week, I think we would have had more fun. But
I think so too. We'd also would have had we probably would have analyzed the episodes a little better and just had more stuff would have stuck out more. Maybe.
yeah, although I think we did a good job.
Yeah.
In the basically, I think the episode ends up being about 90 minutes.
Right. We cover every episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Bob. But going back to this, and once again, guys, we took a little segue there, just so you know, that's what happens in this show. These there's no plot. It just keeps.
Yeah. So I already mentioned Vigo the hitman and Diana the social worker / broker for the hitman / guru. And so John Hawkes is playing the hitman and Jenna Malone is playing the guru. Matt, do you know either John Hawkes or Jenna Malone?
Well, I know John Hawkes. He was from Eastbound and Down. He played Dustin. I do remember him from that show. I remember him from Deadwood. I watched some of that. And he's a True Detective season 4.
Yeah. He's a very bad dad in True season 4. Spoilers. Yeah, and then he's also in a movie I really like that was acclaimed at the time, but doesn't seem to have stuck around in the memory very much, called Winter's Bone. It was an early J. Law movie, and he plays her meth head uncle, who's a gangster. And man, he has a really good meth head performance in that movie. It's as somebody who knows meth heads, it's very accurate.
Wow. Yeah, I remember him from Eastbound and Down mainly because that scene with the sighting. Where Kenny Powers is throwing the baseball at the siding. He comes out and he goes, "Wait, what's siding? What are you doing, Kenny?" That show is so like, God. It's Georgia.
Hey,
it's Georgia.
Even though it's North Carolina.
It's North Carolina in that scene, yes, but it's probably the Kenny Powers it's Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee, kind of.
Yeah. Well, as I said in my review for that show on Serialized, it's not comedy. It's just social realism.
Yes. Yes, very much so. Well, speaking of Jenna Malone, Bob,
can I tell you what other that political comedy show I like, Chapo Trap House?
Yeah,
said something really funny about Danny McBride, and that I think is very true. Is that he's the only good Protestant comedian. Every other comedian is Catholic or Jewish, but the only one who brings a Protestant sensibility to it.
It's pretty good. Well, but we mentioned Jenna Malone, and Jenna Malone was in a film you forced me to watch as a child. Remember what that was?
This is revisionist history. We all wanted to watch Contact because we were all fooled by that trailer, and we thought they were going to be aliens. And It was on my birthday. That's being solely irresponsible. I reject this revisionist history.
Yeah, Bob, we had the option of Men in Black or Contact, and Bob made us go watch Contact. But in case you're wondering, Jenna Malone plays a young version of Jodie Foster's character in that film.
Yeah, man, Men in Black's not that good.
But before our age at that time, Bob, come on, we would have enjoyed Men in Black.
So the thing I like Jenna Malone from is she's in the final season of Goliath, which is also on Amazon. Great Amazon show, Goliath, with old Billy Bob Thornton as a lawyer. Doesn't sound good, but it is
The
good.
Prime putting out these shows.
Not anymore. These are that and Too Old to Die Young are years old at this point.
But Bob, The Boys.
I still haven't watched The Boys, man. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't.
I watched the first. I think I watched the first 2 seasons. That's the thing with these shows. I don't know how they make them so fast. I feel like superhero shows are supposed to be real quick now. Like they'll just produce. I guess with all the CGI. Well,
fifth and final season of The Boys. It's coming next year.
Yeah, and I feel like the show just started airing. Maybe it's just time is going by too fast. I don't know.
I think we're getting old and time just.
God, I hate old. God, getting old sucks. So.
Well, Matt, one other cameo I wanted to point out from this episode of The Hermit of Too Old to Die Young. So Red, the fat detective who's on the phone next to Martin in the bullpen, counting in French and seems maybe talking to a sex line.
Yeah.
That's apparently Nick Cage's brother.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty funny. Do you like the lieutenant?
I got to come clean, Bob. When I'm at work, that's probably how I look to a lot of people. No, I need just give me your honest opinion, Bob. What were you going to say about this? Because you put it in the notes.
So you think you have because you're in a partial management position.
Correct.
You think you have a managerial vibe like the lieutenant.
Yeah, and I hope to God he doesn't become like some weird ass character later on who please, Lord.
That's totally going to happen, man. It might even be in the next episode. I don't exactly remember.
Crap.
It might be in the next episode. It is going to be really funny.
Oh, shit. Well, just keep in mind, guys, I said his managerial style.
Matt's just going off vibe. He's just going off general ingratiating manner.
This one scene where he is trying to help this guy, and he asks him questions, which is what I've been trained to do, to ask lots of questions to get them to come up with the ideas so that and then you have to word your questions a certain way to get them to give you the output you're looking for. It's not fun. Yeah. And then also kind of pointing out steps to try to help. That was the other.
Matt, do you sometimes find yourself asking your subordinates if they have enough flair?
No, Bob, I'm not. No. Okay. I'm not like the dude on that. No, I'm not anything like that guy. I don't care that. No, I don't care about that part. See, that's where these two people are different. That dude didn't do that. The Flair dude, yeah, I'm nothing like that guy.
That was a cheap shot. And we're going into another cheap shot here. Matt, speaking of another character you might identify with, or she's stoked to have Billy Baldwin back on the show.
I was.
Get to see his memorial service for his wife.
This was one of the highlights of the show in a sense, because I was like, oh, look, Billy Baldwin's character's back. He's at the service for his wife, to which he then sits down after giving this speech and then kisses, I guess, his new wife or girlfriend. I'm like, oh my God, what a clown.
I will say it is super, super slimy. The only thing I could say that might slightly defend it, and Billy Baldwin in general in the show is super, super slimy. That's part of why he's an amazing character.
Yeah, exactly.
I do get the sense it might have been several months since the wife died, but I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. But still, regardless, it's
very sleazy. So speaking of the art of the dead wife, Margot Carter is her name. You've seen The Big Lebowski, right?
Oh yeah, and this art looks just like that. It's the same. It could be from the same lady. It was so weird.
Yeah, I believe that's Juliana Moore in The Big Lebowski famously says, "Some say my art is very vaginal."
Yeah. Exactly. That's what this art totally was.
Oh man. See, Matt, I don't really know what you're complaining about this show, because I love John Hawkes. I love Jenna Malone's character. I love having Billy Baldwin back. Love having the other detectives be creepy in front of Martin. That's great. And then most of all, I love the conversation that Damien and Martin have, where Damien is constantly on his phone and he's complaining to Martin. This is the crime lord, the crime boss, Damien. My daughter just got her first phone. She's driving me crazy, always texting. Martin, tell her you're busy. Damien, I'm not going to lie to her.
Yeah, that's a classic line. I'm going to use that if anybody ever says that to me. Save that one in the back of my head. I love the Damien character. God, I just, man, but he's got the best line so far, I think. He's awesome.
So, Matt, do you think it's kind of funny that this actor who plays Damien and plays Dr. Mabinga on Strange New Worlds, it seems like he always has a daughter.
That's his thing. He's always having to look out for her. Always.
Yeah. He's just got real father of a daughter vibes with this actor.
He should play Deadshot in another Suicide Squad.
Oh no, what he should do is they should get another generic assassin character.
Yeah.
So you had Deadshot and Bloodsport, right? Like get some other generic assassin character and have him play that, and then we could have Deadshot, Bloodsport, and him.
Yeah, that would be awesome. All trying to make sure their daughter is okay.
Word. I guess to close out our coverage of the episode, I wanted to call out this last scene we have with Martin and Vigo talking in a diner. I feel like it's very much supposed to be Robert De Niro and Al Pacino's famous scene in Heat. But the difference is that it stages them facing to the camera at the bar rather than facing each other at the table. And I think it's like much more low energy in terms of the performance. Not that the performances are bad, but just that the Pacino De Niro one is much more intense, where this one was much more sedate. You got like the sedate traffic noise in the background, but I still thought it was a really interesting way to close out the episode.
Yes, Bob, it was an interesting way to close out the hour and 16 minutes of the episode.
I agree with you, Matt. It would have been nice if the show had been 90 minutes.
Yes,
it would have been great. They really used that extra 15 minutes to go places. I agree.
Bob, the amount of content that took place in this episode could have been condensed to about 30 minutes and would have told the whole story. Yes, it would not have had the same. I know, God, it's hard. It's so artsy, Bob, and you have to be in that mindset when you're watching it. And it's hard to do when you're watching the fucking Penguin and then watching this.
Matt, I was hoping that you would enjoy this Copenhagen Cowboy style. But if you're miserable for the next 7 episodes, that's going to be its own kind of pleasure.
Everything is so slow, snail's paced. And you know I love Twin Peaks: The Return, Bob. And that's a slow, snail's paced thing. But man, it kept my attention. Some of these scenes are just not doing their job, especially in this episode. I don't know why. It took me 2 or 3 times watching this show.
I like the show's vibe and pace in general. I mean, it can be punishing, but when I commit to it, I enjoy it. But I actually find this episode in some ways more engrossing than the first 2 in some ways.
Wow.
So I don't know. It's also interesting. I think you're right that it may prove that Penguin and Too Old to Die Young was a bad parent. Was partially the joke of parenting them.
Right.
But it is interesting that it's polarizing us in different directions, where it means I'm not digging Penguin so much anymore, and you're not digging Too Old to Die Young much anymore.
Well, Bob, we'll give credits. We have to give our shots of the episode here, all right?
Hit me.
My shot of the episode, Bob, there was like the camera pulling down the hallway as you have a giggling, or she's either giggling or crying. It's Diana.
Maybe both.
Yeah.
Maybe both.
She leans against a payphone while using her cell phone to call Vigo and tell him that the detective is aware of what's going on. That scene, to me, it felt very Lynchian. I don't know why. I got that vibe.
This is facile, but not the least because of like Diane. But there's a bit of vibe of like Laura's mother to Diana.
Oh yeah, because she's trying to be like almost a hero in a sense.
But she's a lot more active than Laura's mother.
Right.
But yeah. No, that's good. It's interesting that we're both thinking about, for shot of the week, we're both thinking of like cameras moving on a crying woman. So for me, it was the pull out and pull in on Janie as she's like crying, but there's a pink neon bulb slashing across the bottom corner. And then depending on how far in or far out the camera is, you can also see a blue neon bulb slashing across the bottom edge. It was a really striking image, I thought.
Yeah. And I, as much as I'm dissing the pace, the imagery is beautiful. But I just have to look at it for a very long time.
It is one of those things, even though I was demonizing Amazon earlier, and I'll demonize Amazon at this moment too, there was something really interesting. I think it's mostly gone now, but there was something really interesting about the way that Amazon entered streaming, where it was able to make shows like this and Goliath. And those were not shows that like even HBO would have made.
Well, now they know better. They make things like Fallout, which are more interesting.
Which are awful.
Check out our coverage on Fallout, folks. It's not as bad as you think as Bob is making it out to be.
It's far worse than you can imagine.
I love me some Fallout. My wife likes Fallout. she's wanted to see the second season. See Bob. So
Man, you and your wife should talk about season 2.
no, Bob, I should force you to listen to what goes on in season 2. All right.
Well, so who's your character in the episode?
I'm gonna regret this, Bob, but I was gonna give it to the lieutenant because I've got to go watch episode 4 just to figure out what happened because I'm probably sure it's gonna be something embarrassing and I don't want to know about.
This is awesome. I'm so happy. I'm gonna give it to that bartender that JD is being really vicious to and calling her old. I also sometimes encounter that in my profession, although I'm a man and I just don't care. But it's always funny when you do encounter that.
But Bob, do they tip? Do they tip you when they're mean like that?
No, they don't tip.
Well,
I would not accept a tip. It's demeaning.
That fixes it all, Bob. Though, according to the show,
I really did like JD's line here. I'm surprised you didn't even remember that far back.
Go.
All right. Well, thanks for having the patience to go with this, 90-minute show, the 75-minute show. I'm up in Cascadia. That's Matt in the Southland. Have a great.
Thanks for listening.